In the book of First Peter 3, verse number 1 up to the verse number 5. Now, let me give you the basic foundation of the scripture. The apostles, that is, they went out to preach. But when they go out to preach, some people are married couples, but they are in the world. They are married, but they are in the world. And when they went to preach the gospel, the women accepted the gospel and they became Christians. But the men were still worldly people. So in the church of the apostles, there were some women who were believers, but their husbands are in the world. So the apostles were writing letters to them to address the women, that they may know how to draw their husband, or they may also convert their husband to become Christians. So Apostle Peter was writing letter to the women, or advising the women in the church who were married but their husbands are in the world. He was admonishing them that they may know how to live their life in order to bring their husbands into Christianity. So when you check the book of First Corinthians chapter number 7, when Apostle Paul was also talking about marriage, Apostle Paul also addressed women or men whom their partners are unbelievers and told them that they shouldn't leave them. In other words, that means that there were some believers whom their partners were in the world. So this letter was addressing the women. Apostle Peter was giving the women the gist, the guidelines, how they can draw their husbands who were unbelievers to become Christians. And Peter began to say, in the same way, you wives must accept the authority of your husband. That is, the wives whose husband is unbelievers, they must be humble to their husband, even though their husbands are unbelievers, but they should be humble to them under the authority. Then even if some refuse to obey the good news, if their husbands refuse to accept the message that the apostles are preaching, the good news about death of Christ, if they refuse to accept the good news, your godly lives will speak to them without any word. They will be won over by observing your pure and reverent lives. When the husbands refuse to accept the gospel, they are going to look at the godly characters of the wife. Listen, wives, if you're able to live a Christian character in your marriage, you, the lady, can even convert your husband who is an unbeliever to become a believer by living a godly life, submitting yourself under the authority of your husband. That is what Peter is telling them. And he says, don't be concerned about outward beauty. Listen to what he's saying though. He's not speaking against dressing, but he's saying that don't be concerned about dressing. Don't think that you are beautiful, because your dressing cannot turn your husband to Christ. So listen, even if you are a lady in a church, you are putting on a long dress, a long gown, you cover all your body, and you are not humble to your husband, you cannot win your husband with your dressing. So this dressing is not talking about your dressing being short or being long. He's not talking about you wearing a puskeleke or trouser. He is saying that no matter how you dress, if you don't submit or if you don't exhibit a godly character in home, you cannot draw your husband. If you dress from your neck to your toe and you are still bitter against your husband, even our character can resist even the prayer of our husband. So it doesn't matter whether your dress is long or your dress is short. If you don't live a godly character to your husband, you cannot win him. And he continued to say, also, don't be concerned about your outward beauty or fancy hairstyle, expensive jewelry or beautiful clothes. Don't think that so that those who sew long garments, what this one has effort. Today I'm saying that those who are saying they are doing holiness, what dress require a challenge. I keep on saying those who say they are practicing holiness this time, even their dressing has become a challenge among themselves. They are challenging each other with dressing. Come and see their dressing style. If you see somebody dressing, even the hand alone, not now. In the holiness, it will be not turning sakake. So what design not turning sana, none tomorrow the designer, Nansan but my bobby skirt and top. But if you go to their house, they are bitter against their husband, unforgiving against their husband. So he's talking about your godly character, and he says you should clothe yourself. So he's telling you how to dress. Now he's going to give you how you can dress to win your husband to Christ. You should clothe yourself instead with beauty that comes from within, that is character. Clothe yourself with humility, forgiveness, kindness. I'm sorry, my dear, what will you eat? Humble yourself. Even when you are praying on Zoom and your husband says you are making noise, just off the Zoom. Listen to your husband, off it, go offline. Just submit to your husband because you're a woman. When your husband says you are making noise, just you can even pray in your heart, God will hear you. Just submit to him that you can win him. You should clothe yourself instead with beauty that comes from within, the unfading beauty of a gentle and a quiet spirit, which is so precious in God. So this scripture was not talking about don't wear this dress, don't put on this dress. He is teaching you how to live a godly character that can even draw your husband to Christ, draw your unbelieving husband to Christ. But what are we seeing in our time? Those who have not been given knowledge about the scriptures, those who have not been given knowledge about the Spirit of God, they begin to quote the scriptures and they draw your attention to dressing, and they neglected the godly character. So there are many women who are dressing properly, they are dressing decent. In fact, their gun can even shoot the floor. But go and ask them from your husband, you will cry.